Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rafi Prayoga Dhenanta. Here I want to introduce about my thesis about modern air combat from the perspective of game theory. Before that, there is a quote about the American ace. To be a good fighter pilot, there is one prime requisite: think fast and act faster. Modern air combat team match. First of all, I would like to introduce what is modern air combat team match. It is basically a kind of game about pilot simulation and fighting game about using some kinds of aircrafts, and there are lots of moves in that. And there are lots of playing objectives too, such as completing a PvE stage or PvP where we compete against another players. And our approach here, we will only talk about competition, about the PvP one. And when we are playing game and the or often the competition game, we think about the strategy, and the strategy is taught in game theory. Game theory itself is a mathematics branch studying how decisions are made. For example, in the morning when we are still hungry, what to eat. It's like a simple decision. Game theory also deal about the larger decision making about should we nuke the United States in the future if we got to the nuclear war with the United States. Here, I will only talk about game theory in the competition scope. That is interaction between decision makers within the sets of actions and rules where the actors trying to dominate the others. For example, if we are trying to look at when we play chess, the other or we when we play chess, we will make sure that we want to win that kind of game. And the other example is that should the restaurant, for example IVG, lower their prices to compete with McP. And the game theory consists of three components such as players, actions, and preference that I would like to talk about later. Our preliminary approach is that first game simplification, and then we will define game theory component for our game, which is modern air combat. And last thing, we are going to choose a game theory model from the perspective. The simplifications, first simplification is that we only talk about within visual range battle. The second of all, we are not talking about the 3D dogfight that happen in the real life, but we do simplification for the 2D dogfight. The third one is about the one versus one fighting. And the lastly is winning is by locking consecutively, not like in the game itself. The game we are winning about when we could shut down an enemy plane, but here we could win just by locking them. This is what it means about locking. This means that black plane locking the orange plane when the orange plane gathered on some places inside the perimeter. The next thing is defining components. First of all, the players itself here from the modern air combat, from our simplification before, we know that we could assume that there are only two players competing against each other. For suppose they are P1 and P2, player 1 and player 2. And the actions, they are actions based taken from the real life dogfights such as turning, accelerating, braking, Pugachev Cobra not included, and other things. And the preference itself is that which actions makes me or makes the player closer to the victory. The next one is about choosing the preliminary game theory model. We could see that dogfight is actually a real-time strategy. So because of that, we could give two branches. First of all, that is, we could see the dogfight as sequential game. For example, sequential game is like chess when two people are moving in a turn, and the other is repeated static game. For example, we are doing a rock paper scissors for n rounds consecutively. And additional, my next plan is about defining every game component clearer. The second is simulation for observing game solution, and the last thing is proving the solution mathematically. Research aim is to find the solution for modern air combat, and for the societal contribution, I would like that this kind of thesis will be the base for contributing to UAV combat system that could think faster and act faster. I think that's all from me. Thank you and good day.